The topic for today is that of microphones and small acoustic spaces, different microphone techniques for equalization that I've been employing, and how I've come to understand why certain techniques work better than others. EQ does affect imaging, depth and instrument separation, or the precision of their placement on the stage. Getting better actionable RTA data can help all of us, so let's get started. Just imagine you've got tweeter and a woofer here, and they're making the sound of your left speaker group. When we sit here and listen to it, we imagine that it's coming from just there, and we hope that we can get that as focused as possible. Yet the truth is that we'll get some energy from there, but also some of this energy from there bouncing off this area there, on that windscreen, and some of it's bouncing off this roof here, and some of it's bouncing up here on the front windscreen, and some of that down there in your door, or kicks is coming out of that foot well willy-nilly. Some of it is loading off the side door, some of it might be bouncing off your B-pillar, some of the center console, some of it off your ceiling and back down on you, and some of it will travel all the way across the cabin and hit this other side door and window. There is energy coming back from there, the roof here. Some of it's coming up here, and you are getting the point. Some of the frequencies can come from the back of the cabin and bounce to the front of the cabin, and then back again. So you have all these other modes and standing waves and things like that. Now a measurement microphone will, in this area here, pick up all of these areas as information on your graph, especially here, which is the desired target, but the cabin is also captured. Yes, it's proportional, but both will appear on the graph mixed together. You're hoping that you can measure this area, but you're also measuring this area, because the microphone can't see what you're pointing at.
Microphones can't see what you're pointing at because measurement microphones are omnidirectional or 90% omnidirectional, and most people are told to point them up at the ceiling anyway. Even if you did point them at specific places, you're changing your chances of getting an even frequency response to your detriment. Pointing up is a general rule, so microphones don't know what you're trying to measure, they just measure everything. It's true that a lot of the power you want is being measured, and the other stuff you can argue is 20%, 30%, or 5%, but it's in your data. That's why when you're trying to get good centering, your results may vary depending on your technique. Some people do wavy face. Some people do an array where they might use 7 microphones like this. And some people might have an array like that and an array like this. And some people might do combinations of microphone techniques. Now, the microphone technique I am using, I call the spherical technique. It involves doing a scan from this point out to a radius but measuring different outer layers in the sphere. Like so. This is where the graphics totally fail, LOL. So, there's your sphere technique. Now, just imagine that was a nice, pretty sphere. What I've discovered is that because it kept the same distance from ground zero here, it always kept the frequency response data coming in for that speaker group, and minimized the data from all these other areas. Not completely, not disappeared, but it has been diminished because the microphone moved from, say, this headrest to the corner here, traveling through space to the glass, then back all the way over here to the dashboard. This was measured, 100 times. This and this were only measured one time, so in essence, it weighted the measurements more towards the stop. We are helping the microphone out because we're still using a microphone.
So another way I could try and explain it was we're giving more value to this and less value to this. So you slide it down like that, and it's specifically increasing the chance of you getting a better center image. So you do the same for your left and your right. A lot of this has to do with the fact that once we start listening back again, we're listening to the music. This is another point which I'm trying to integrate. We still feel all these pressure zones coming at us, but we know how to listen in directions. Some people might not think we can hear directionally, but that's another topic for a long video. we can actually hear. What our brain does is go, oh, that's that music there. And then our brain goes, well, this was kind of unrelated because it came in later. Or it came in because her ears can channel the sound. Okay, well, that came from the side, and that's not really what I care about. Or that came from the back. So it's not really related. And a microphone can pick up the pressure of these areas and just give it the full weight, whereas our brain can give it less weight. So, I told you about the direction of our hearing, and what we discern as coming from a place, and what is not coming from a place. But I didn't really tell you about the inner sphere, like really narrowing in. So I thought I'd just go down on this side here, because there's no steering wheel. So within the sphere, we're not just getting this big block saying, here's where all the sound is, that's where your tweeter is. Let's just say you've got a mid-range here for MIDS, and you've got a 6 or 8 in there, and you're calling that your side. Now, with the spherical technique, you have to pick the center of your sphere, and I normally pick somewhere near the tweeter. So, I'll have a piece of string coming out from there, you know, and measure just the outer perimeter of the sphere. That's the spherical measurement. And how it's helping is that we all know that we're here directionally, but we're not that superhuman with our directionality of our hearing. So, it helps for the other parts of the cabin, and the directions that are definitely 90, 45 off axis. But what about these other little incidental areas like this and this? So, all of this surface is a baffle, and all of this surface is a baffle, and all of this surface is a baffle. What I'm saying that spherical is doing is that every part of this baffle can be given a number of importance. So, your actual speaker, domes, will give you the importance of a number. Let's just say the number 10. Alright, that's really important because that's where the sound is coming from, and something right beside the speakers on the adjacent surfaces. You'd almost give an importance of 9 because it's close, it's intense, and it's also hard to distinguish directionality, but you'd like to go about distinguishing if you could. And the further out you get is where the interesting part of spherical becomes. But you can give this a value of 8, the further it goes away. Different surfaces that are further away get an 8, and then further away again can give that, 7, 6, 5. So because they're further away, you can start to distinguish them. And hopefully, in spherical, you can measure these numbers. They get less in the weighting of the spherical measurement automatically. Because if you're over here, I can't really do this in 3D. If you're over here, the angle to this mirror here of this glass is different than when you're scanning spherically from over here, near this window, looking at it this way. This reflection is taken out, yet something really close to the tweeter is still getting measured. So the things that are close from different angles are still getting the priority from your spherical measurement, and things that are further will get a different amount of energy. If you're reading it from here or here, you know what I'm saying? So that number system, say 10, 9, 8, really spherical, starts to become 10. 5, 2, or 10, 5, 1. So it helps narrow down the baffles that matter. And I know I could have explained that a lot better, but I'm just trying to say that when you're rotating around your source, you're getting a lot more of your inner sphere, waiting to help the depth and staging. That's about it. We'll leave it there, and I might have another tip on the directionality and directivity of your speakers, and how they're also captured in the SBL, but I might leave that for another time. Okay, see you later.